They gave me a bag. They gave me a freaking backpack, man.
Yeah. Well, let's begin right here, Drip. You went to New York and touched the Switch, and all of that conversation, first of all, already happened on your YouTube channel, which people can check out in the link in the description. But also, we'll be seeing tomorrow night, as of recording of this little clip, Wednesday evening, 8 p.m. We're going to be talking all about Drip's trip to New York in detail. Going over all the things he did, played, all that good stuff in New York, touching the Switch 2. This video, though, is about something a little bit different. It's about all the crazy, unbelievably wrong misinformation that's been being spread about the Switch 2. Misinformation or misguided or just straight up wrong. Like, there's just so much of it. There's a lot. I have a long list here of things that I want to go over, and Drip's going to fill in as we go as well, things that he thinks and has seen and heard over the past, hasn't even been a week yet since the Switch 2 was released. Or was was the Direct was released, I should say. But let's start off with the biggest one I think that there is right now, biggest issue, $90 games, Drip. Hey, did you know that all the Switch 2 games are $90? Every single one, even the indie ones. Every game's $90.
Yeah, well, they're not, but I have to say something too. We are also a part of the misinformation. We talked about this last week. And a lot of this $90 game stuff is what we were talking about last week. We did touch on this, and it was coming from reliable sources who were completely wrong. So it's
Well, I want to be clear, Drip. We were wrong about it only hours after the Direct was released, right? I mean, that's when we got it wrong, because the hours after the Direct, things got misconstrued, and we were a part of that. I'm talking more about just like literally days, almost a week now after people are still portraying this wrong information that's been corrected since then. But again, I actually forgot something. Before we talk about the $90 games, we need to talk about Nintendo quickly. They have done a horrific job, absolutely horrific job communicating everything about the Nintendo Switch outside of what they put in the Direct. They didn't put enough information in the Direct, in my opinion, and because of that, they left things up for interpretation after, and people like us were searching frantically to find more information about it, and that's where all this misinformation, wrong information began. Yeah.
This is Nintendo shooting themselves in the foot yet again. I don't think this is as bad as a Wii U situation.
That's actually another misinformation I should add to the list. People are saying this is another Wii U, which is very much not true.
Okay, yeah, let's not go there, because it's not.
It's not.
But this has that DNA. Like you didn't tell people a price, so that went crazy. You didn't tell people the prices of games, so that went crazy. You didn't tell people how all these upgrades for these games were going to go, so that went crazy. There's still misinformation about all this stuff. They did not communicate anything that they should have properly. And I think it is because this time around, they're not as, as far as pricing goes, they're not as family friendly with this, and they're scared. They were worried about telling people the price, and instead of just coming out and talking about it and saying, this is the price, and just standing up and saying it, they've kind of cowered behind, they've cowered behind the closed doors there and just let all this happen. And it's like, they still have not said anything really. I mean, they have barely talked about just the simplest things. And I'm going to start with something on your list here. We know this for sure, because this was wrong information that we got as well. Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild Switch 2 editions will be added into the Nintendo Switch Online. So if you have the expansion pack, you're getting those upgraded for free.
Yes,
but those are the only two.
Included in your subscription.
Yes, but those are the only two. That doesn't include Kirby. It's just those two Zelda games.
See, that's even confusing me right now, because last I understood, all Switch 2 upgrades were
now, see,
included.
That's what I thought too, but now I'm seeing that it's only the Zelda games.
I mean, it's literally proving the point of what we're talking about here in terms of Nintendo is the cause of this misinformation single-handedly.
Yeah, because they won't just say it themselves. I'm going to look it up right now. I'll look it up and just see what comes up. We can cut this part out.
The last thing that I heard, you can keep looking it up. The last thing that I heard was that because I heard both. I heard that what we didn't know was included, then we did know, then we didn't know, and then we did know, and then what we did know was that it was included. Everything was included on Switch Online subscription, and some things were not included. Like you're saying only the Zeldas were included. But I saw like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet was included in terms of performance.
That's different. That's different.
Well, no,
that's a whole different thing. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet aren't getting upgrades like that, not paid upgrades. Those are just free for everybody. That's a thing. That's a whole other tier.
Right. So I have a picture. If you scroll up in our Discord, go to our pod room, just scroll up just like a little bit. There's actually I can pull this up on my computer. I think I can if I press this button. Right there. There's a little chart here, Drip, that I think you should stop looking up and then look at this chart.
I've seen that already.
Okay, you have.
I've seen that.
Because it says Nintendo Switch 2 Edition game pricing and feature breakdown.
Again, not from Nintendo. Somebody else made this.
So but this is like piecing together information that we know to be true, at least confirmed information, until it's all very confusing. That's why we're doing this whole video. But to our current understanding of knowledge here, free. There's the word free, and that includes all Switch 2 upgrades that don't include any sort of extra content. They're only just FPS and resolution improvements. Those, for example, Mario Odyssey, Scarlet and Violet, etc. Those games like that are free upgrades for everybody who buys a Nintendo Switch 2. The next tier is $9.99. That's what it's going to cost to get Zelda, Metroid Prime 4, and those types of games that just have light bonuses. Like Zelda has that new app feature, and Metroid Prime 4 has the mouse mode features and improved.
And
like 120 FPS
frames per second.
So like that's like the light bonuses that are like it'll be a $10 upgrade, very similar to like what Sony does. In fact, identical as Sony does. And there's it's a light bonus, but those are included. And if you're a subscriber to Nintendo Switch Online, those types of light bonuses are completely included in your subscription. And then there's the last tier.
I don't think that's true though.
There's the last tier.
I'm looking at Nintendo's website right now. Mm-hmm. And it does not say that is the case. The only thing they mention that is free is the 2 Zelda games. That's it. As far as their website says right now, the only 2 that come with it for free if you have the expansion pack are the Zelda games.
I hope.
So you're still going to have to pay full price. Well, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter. It's a new game anyway. Yeah. But if you bought Metroid Prime 4 for your Switch 1, and then you bought a Switch 2 later, you're still going to pay that $10 upgrade fee.
Yeah, just because I'm not saying you're wrong, Derby. I'm glad you pulled that up. But just because that's the only thing it says on there doesn't mean that that's the only. That could just be an example, because that's the problem here. Nintendo has been giving nuggets of information, not the full context this whole time, which has been the problem. Because I still if they're going to give us the Zeldas, why would they not give us Metroid Prime? It's just mouse mode. Why would you pay for mouse mode? That's ridiculous. On Switch
because
2.
it's a Switch 2.
You have to pay to unlock the hardware on your device, which is another
the Nintendo Switch 2 edition of
let's not dwell
technically a Switch 1 game.
Let's not dwell on that, because that's not relevant to the shorter clip that we're doing here. But let's segue that into the what I just said. Have to unlock hardware that you've bought. People have been complaining and saying that, the C button, you can't use that button unless you pay for a subscription, which I actually am not entirely sure about that yet. To my understanding, apparently there is functionality to the C button without having to pay. And also, just FYI, nobody has to pay for it for a year.
For a year.
Nintendo Switch Online is free for a year. So the C button, at least for a year, is completely free.
Well, not on, I think it's just the chat.
Just the chat. That's what I meant to say. I'm sorry. The chat functionality for the C button is free.
We're trying to give good information. It's so all over. It's crazy. It's just insane. Yeah. $90 games, not a thing in the United States, by the way.
Yeah, and that was
we didn't touch on that.
That was the first big one that was spreading on the internet. $90 games has been a rumor, because basically somebody didn't pick up, including us, by the way, didn't pick up that, the region pricing is different and bada bing, bada boom. I'm still confused about it, honestly, because what I saw originally was literally in euros, it was like $70 for digital. Yeah, and
we were doing conversions.
80 for a physical. I'm like, why were those prices different? Why? Well,
that might be the case in Europe, though.
And it
it's
might
just not
be
here.
It's just not in America where everyone and people are still to this day are rolling with it on Twitter. If you're on Twitter right now,
I got it
ignore
in
everything
my
Switch 2. It's so terrible.
Yeah.
Everything's
I got
wrong.
it in comments in my videos. People were like, I'm not paying $90 for a game. Like, okay, good.
Because you're not. Okay. Another huge one here. Games do not come with a cartridge. Cartridge keys. The controversy around cartridge keys, Strip.
I mean, dude, I see this all over the place. I understand this. So here's what it is. Some games will be on the cartridge. Some of them will be. Some of them will be what's known as a key. It's basically going to be something you put in your system that says, yep, I have the license. I can play this game. So you're basically going to be downloading the digital version of the game, and then you have to take your little cartridge and put it in, and that's got the key that's going to allow you to play that game. So it still is a physical copy because you cannot play that digital copy without your key.
Right.
I mean, PlayStation and Xbox have been doing this forever. It's basically the same thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is.
There's
I
like
agree.
no information on the disc, and it's just like it's not really that big of a deal.
Hold on.
I mean, maybe for Nintendo.
I can't allow you to spread misinformation because I was corrected by what the biggest Sony fan that I know, my buddy Nuge, corrected me about this, which he's right, completely right about. I was saying the same thing you were just saying, and then he corrected me.
Okay.
The Sony discs, I was saying cartridge keys are identical to what Sony Blu-rays are, and he's like, well, hold on a second. So at least talking mainly the first party Sony games, but I'm more than that. It's much more than just that. The Blu-rays, yes, are basically keys. They're only licenses to get the game on your system, to download the files, the ROM on your system. That's all it is. But Sony Blu-rays have the entire data on the Blu-ray, whereas cartridge keys are just and then it downloads from the internet after that. The cartridge keys are not necessarily, if at all, have any data on it. It's just a snap of the finger, thumbs up. You can download this game from the eShop. Sony Blu-rays, and this is why this matters, because it's like, well, it's basically the same thing, right? Yes, but why it matters is in like 20 years in the future, when you have a Sony PlayStation and the servers are turned off, PlayStation 5 and the servers are turned off, you can pop in your disc and it downloads the game. The license and the game are all on the Blu-ray, whereas a cartridge there'll be no server to ping to say, yep, and then no servers to download the game for, therefore that cartridge is null and void. But I also came back with the argument with Nuge. I'm like, yeah, you're right. But don't forget about this. Most of all the new Sony PlayStation 5s, except for the old Fat 5s, besides the original Fat 5s with the disc drive, all the new ones, the Slims with the extra disc drive, and even the PS5 Pro, if you have one of those two, which a lot of people have upgraded to since then, the disc drives have to connect to the internet to even function. Now, it's a one-time thing, but let's say you haven't connected your PS5 in a while or somehow got dislodged from its port, and you have to just pop it back in. Oh, well, then you have to reconnect to the internet to use your disc drive. So if that happens after the servers are done, or if you had a repair done on your PlayStation, you have to take it out the disc drive. And basically 75% of PlayStation 5s with detachable disc drives in the future will not be functioning as disc drives. Therefore, your Blu-rays are null and void. So it's almost the same thing. Sony has a little bit better of a situation, but overall, it's still garbage for both platforms.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a little different. I mean, third parties and stuff, this is what I don't understand. Why even? I mean, what's the point in doing it this way?
I have an answer to that.
If you can't, like, why not just put a code? Put a code in there, like they were doing.
I have like you just said, the code thing. That's what they did in the last gen, Switch 1. That's what they did. Yeah. They put a little cardboard code, like on a piece of cardboard, that said, here, you can get the license with this, type in this 16-letter code. And they're just replacing that with the cartridges. And I think the plan, because people were complaining about that. People complained about, oh, there's no cartridge in my thing. And now Nintendo's like, okay, here's a cartridge. And now people are going, oh, my cartridge is just a key. And it's like, you can't please everybody. And the reason they do this is because it's not even Nintendo's fault. I'm the first guy to blame big business. Trust me, guys. I hate capitalism, but I'm not a commie. But I hate capitalism as much as the next guy. But it's not Nintendo's fault. It's the company selling the games. It's not Nintendo games. Nintendo games will not have this issue. It's the third parties. The third parties are too cheap to pay for the SD card, what the cartridges basically are, SD cards. They're too cheap to pay for the extra storage. So instead of paying for the extra storage,
it's expensive.
It is expensive, and especially Switch 2 generation, it's even more expensive. But they're just too cheap to pay for the extra storage to fit on the cartridge. So instead of that, they give you part or none of it, and just give you a code. Or in this case, they're giving you a cartridge key. So it's really not even Nintendo's fault at all. Nintendo will not be doing this at all. And people are misconstruing that as well because people are saying Nintendo will be doing this. Nintendo doesn't even have the games on the cartridge anymore. And it's like, that's not true. Simply not true.
Yeah, they're trying. They're trying to do what they can. Okay, let's talk about the price of the Switch itself. $499. People are saying that's a terrible price. Too much. Too much.
Mm-hmm.
Awful. Are they? Because I disagree. I think $499, especially, I've played it. Okay, I've played it.
Yep.
It's worth $499. It's well worth $499. It is extremely.
Look at the market. Look at the market.
Yeah. Compared to everything else around it, I mean, let's just go with, a Steam Deck non-OLED is $400, a little less.
But you're getting a little less.
Yeah, you're getting less because the Switch 2 plays things better than the Steam Deck.
Let's pretend
in a lot of cases.
Let's just pretend that they play things identically. Let's just pretend. They don't. The Switch is better, but let's just pretend the Steam Deck plays identical games to the Switch 2.
Okay, you have no mouse mode. You have no Joy-Cons that come off. You do not have HDR.
There's one big one.
Have
the biggest one that matters the most. There's no dock. That's expensive.
Doesn't come with a dock.
That's expensive.
Does not come with a dock.
There's your $50, friends. There's your $50. And a Steam Deck dock these days, third party, costs around $50. There's your $50.
Yeah.
So they're the same price. The Switch is not a worse price.
We don't know what the price is going to be yet. We're waiting on this whole tariff situation to work itself out. But I will say this, $449 for this system, as someone who has held it in my hands, played it, used it, absolutely worth it. Absolutely worth it. I have zero problem with that price after playing it.
And let me add this.
And the screen is amazing.
Yeah, it is. I haven't seen it yet, but I can tell.
It is.
You can tell.
It's great.
Just like you could tell the OLED was better than the original Switch screen, you could tell this one's better than maybe even the OLED, but that's TBD. Okay, Switch 2 third-party games don't run well, Drip.
True and false. True and false. I played third-party games. I'm going to make a video about all the third-party games I played, but I can tell you this. I played Cyberpunk. I know that's one that people are like, oh, well, listen. Dude, I played it. And from what I'm told, this is not even the current build that I played. I was pretty damn impressed with what I saw running on a tablet. It was very, very impressive. I got to go through a whole mission. I went through the streets and like met this girl and then went in and like shot a bunch of people, and it was crazy. But it ran pretty damn well. I mean, was it running 60 frames per second? No, it was not. I do know that what I played was running 30, and from what I was told, there's also going to be a performance mode that runs 40 frames per second.
That's right.
And it's going to kind of do something with the screen, the way it has the refresh rate. It's basically going to make it look like it's running. Yeah, it's the variable refresh rate, but it's going to make it look like it's even smooth. Trust me, they've got some tricks up their sleeve. I can't wait to see the final build of Cyberpunk. Now, on the other hand of that, I played Split Fiction.
A little rough.
A little rough. The cutscenes, I'm like, ooh, what generation is this? Like, ooh, okay. Cutscenes are not
that's a brand new
game.
AAA game that came out this weeks ago.
I'll give them that.
And the fact that it runs it all acceptably is what's important.
It's
here.
acceptable.
It's a tablet.
The gameplay is completely acceptable.
It's a tablet that you can play while taking a poo. Can you take a poo while playing your PS5 without spending extra money for extra hardware? No.
You can't. There's another one I played third party that I do want to mention really quick. Hogwarts Legacy. I played the new version of that. It's pretty good. I mean, especially if you're just a Switch owner and you played the original on the Switch, it is miles. It's comparable to the version they put out on PS4. Very, very comparable to that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it runs really well. There's some frame stuttering. I got to hop on a broom and fly around. A little bit of frame stuttering in that, but other than that, man, it was clean.
Yeah.
Very smooth experience. I mean, you got to remember, we're talking about a tablet here. I would like to see it up against Hogwarts Legacy on the Steam Deck. That's what I would like to see. I would like to see where those two compare. It was good, though. Third parties are going to be fine. And I want to say one more thing about third parties that people need to understand. There are so many different things inside of this console that developers haven't even taken advantage of yet. The DLSS, like some of this stuff isn't even using DLSS because they're doing it a different route, because you have to remember the DLSS isn't like just, oh, we just throw it in there and it works. Like that costs computing power. So you gotta give and take what you can. These launch titles probably aren't using, like none of them except for Nintendo's probably aren't even using it. The titles that we're going to see later on down the line, and even some of the ones we saw at the Direct, those are not final builds. Those are coming out later this year, going to have a ton more work done on them. This stuff is going to look, a year into this, 2 years into this stuff's going to look even better. The fact that we have this stuff running the way we do right now is really impressive. I mean, the one I'm really looking forward to is Star Wars. Like, I don't want to play the game, but I want to see how it runs, because that game is no joke.
Jedi Survivor?
No. The other one, the Ubisoft one. Outlaw.
Oh, Outlaws. Yes. They looked
okay.
Really,
that's going to be.
It looked really good in the trailer. Can I say something about that quickly?
There's no way that's real. There's no way.
Well, it looked really good. And here's what I was going to say. I have it on PS5. I have that game on PS5. I expected a lot out of it. And when I downloaded and started playing it, I was like, this doesn't look good on performance mode at all. It doesn't. It looks like a handheld PC, like an ROG or something, on the PS5. Like the hair is real bad, and you get 60 FPS when you do that. But then okay, Geeb, then switch it down to performance mode or to fidelity mode. If you want it to look better. Holy crap, the frame rate looks horrific. Like it's 30, but it's a gross 30. It's not a clean 30 at all.
Yeah. I'm interested to see what
Outlaws looks like garbage. In my opinion, it looks like garbage. I can hardly play it on there. And I was looking forward to playing it. So if Switch 2 could do some magic with some like DLSS stuff, because my PS5 doesn't do that. Maybe the PS5 Pro does that stuff.
Yeah, it does.
But mine doesn't do that. So the Switch does it though. So if the Switch can actually pull some magic off, I don't know.
And we'll see. We'll see what happens, because a lot of the games we saw at the Direct, just to kind of put a bow on this and move on. A lot of the stuff we saw at the Direct is not coming out till later this year. They've got a lot of time to still polish, work on it. These probably aren't finished builds, just like Cyberpunk. That's one thing you said really quickly. The hair. The hair in Cyberpunk is the only thing I was like, ooh, that's really rough. Other than that, I was.
It's comparable though to like Sony PS5. There's still now it's still screenshots. I have issues with people taking still screenshots out of context, and I'm not going to fall victim of that.
Yes, because it's not smooth. It's 30. You can see it's not.
But the point is that if you take that still screenshot, it looks so close to the PS5. It just doesn't perform the way the PS5 does, but that's what you expect out of a tablet.
But they also have time to make this even better, and from what they told me when I was there playing the game, it already is better. Much better.
Let's talk about Switch 2 first-party games now, because the big, again, this is this lesson for misinformation, but just people are just straight up wrong about this stuff. Switch 2 first-party 1080p games, handheld in fidelity mode, and docked performance modes aren't impressive in 2025
I mean, okay.
This is more of an opinion piece. That's an opinion piece. If you feel that way, yeah, whatever.
If that's the way you feel, it's the way you feel. Have fun with your PC. We'll see you later. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I see these games running and looking amazing. I don't know. Like, what's the problem? They all run great. They all look great. Every game I played from Nintendo first party was flawless as far as frame rate, resolution. It all looked amazing. Mario Kart World was amazing. Metroid Prime 4 was like the coolest thing. Dude, mouse mode, Metroid Prime 4 at 120 frames per second. Like, dude, holy crap. And that was only 1080p. But like, I mean, it's whatever. Like, you're never gonna sway the PC master race people. They're all, if it's not, 500 frames per second, 8K, then it's dog shit. So
I want to point out this too is 1080p games in handheld mode are 60 FPS, but running off the battery on the screen, which is impressive as crap. And we haven't seen it yet in person. You have, but we haven't.
I have. No, I have. And let me tell you something. It is impressive. It is impressive. Mario Kart. The only one I got to play handheld was Mario Kart World. But wow.
Does anybody play the PS Portal?
Beautiful.
Does anybody play the PS Portal 1080p and go, this PS5 looks like shit on the Portal because it's 1080p or 60 FPS on the Portal screen? No,
it looks great.
They go, it looks great and that's what it's going to look. It's a little different situation, obviously, but it's going to look just as great when you're playing the handheld Switch. Anywhere you want.
Something you could compare it to, though. It is comparable to that screen.
It's a handheld, not a say. Yeah, it's like people gotta stop comparing this thing to a home console or PC.
Now that I've seen it in person, I know. Like, yes, it is very comparable to that.
Compare it to the RG Allies, the Steam Decks, all those the newer ones. The Steam Deck, not even, it's better than Steam Deck, but the newer ones. Like you have to pay $800 to get 1080p gameplay at more than 60 FPS handheld. You have to pay twice the price before the price increase in the US to get that performance. It's not even what are we talking about here? This handheld is impressive. It is impressive. You're wrong. Other things that people are wrong about: battery life. Switch 2 battery life is worse than the Switch 1. They're right about that. That is a fact on paper. That is a fact. That is a fact on paper. The Switch 1,
2 to 6 hours, right?
The Switch 1 had 2.5 and 6.5 rated.
I know, yeah. 2 and the new Switch
2 has 2 and 6 without the halves.
Oh God, seriously, go cry. Like, are you serious? Like, how much time are you getting on your Steam Deck?
Less than an hour. It's kind of one of the reasons I'm selling it, to be honest with you. One of the reasons I'm selling it is I can hardly get through any game.
The fact that they are running this hardware inside of this machine and still getting 2 to 6 hours of battery life. I mean, tell me a handheld that does better than that. I'll wait.
Jinx.
I mean, there's not one. So, I mean, while it's not 2.5 hours. I mean, I'm sure we're going to get a refresh that has a better battery once they can get this chip optimized a little better. You know, whatever they do with their little 6 nanometer process. I don't know what that means.
In 3 years' time, we're going to be laughing at this because in 3 years we're getting like 5 hours of battery life with Metroid Prime 4 running at 120 frames per second.
They'll figure that. I see that as that's a very weird thing to be upset about at this point, considering we've lost 30 minutes of playtime, but like quadrupled the power.
Well, actually, NVIDIA says that it's 10 times more powerful.
Yeah.
Nintendo's not committing to that. Yeah. But NVIDIA says it's 10 times.
I feel like that's...
Well, okay, but Apple does the same crap. And everyone believes them when they say it's 100 million times more powerful. If we're going to believe Apple, you better believe NVIDIA when they say it's 10 times more. The point is, Drip, like you said quadruple. That's probably more accurate. It's like 4 switches in one. It's 4 times better.
Like, I've seen what it does.
Everything about the Switch 2 is 4 times better.
Like, go play Hogwarts Legacy on the Switch 1, then go play Hogwarts Legacy on this. You can see, like, it honestly, that is the game that, like, relieved me. I was like, oh my God, like, this is cool. Like, this is crazy. It's happening from the Switch. Let's skip the fun one there. You know what it is. Let's go to the camera and finish up with the other one on my list. So the camera. The camera looks low quality. People are complaining about the camera quality on the Switch 2. I want to say a few things about that. One, camera quality, a lot of perceived camera quality is actually lighting. It's actually lighting. Most of that is lighting. If you look at all of those, they're lit terribly. Another thing, the screens that we saw were all being put beside the other screens that were running at about 5 frames per second, low quality. So their camera feed is also running at about 5 frames per second and low quality.
Not the main camera feed, itself, your friend's camera feed that you're streaming to your system.
Right. That's the only thing we've actually seen. That's the only thing we've actually seen is the camera feed that we're getting, which is bad. Yes, that is bad. Yeah. But we're also talking about 4 camera feeds and 4 game feeds coming into your tablet.
While you're playing the tablet to its fullest GPU capability.
Yeah. So, there's going to be some trade-offs.
It's not a Zoom call on your iPad. Okay, we're playing video games on it.
We did find out that the camera that Nintendo, which I did get to see as well, it's very small. It looks really big and all this. Dude, it's tiny. It's a little guy.
That's what I heard.
But it's 1080p.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I'm telling you right now that I can, and I will make a video on this. I can make that camera look amazing. I can make that camera look fantastic with some lighting, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I'm gonna do a whole tutorial.
I can't wait, dude. That's gonna be one of the funnest videos you've done because it combines both your loves.
Yeah, I mean that's okay. So that is, while yes, what they showed us was terrible quality. If you're using it for, I mean, I don't know. That's what else are you going to use it for?
I have more on this. So, number one, if you don't like it, just plug in your webcam because Nintendo's confirmed. At least we think.
It does work with other webcams.
So
yes,
I had this old Logitech C920, like the famous C920 that everyone else has. I'm gonna plug that at my desk here. I'm gonna plug it right into my dock.
Yeah,
and there you go. It's perfect. It's perfect. It'll be perfect. I don't need to buy this thing.
This right here. Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, I'm still buying it, and I'm buying the other one, the Hori one. Unfortunately, that looks like a piranha plant.
That one's 480p.
480. Yeah.
Yeah. It's unfortunate.
It's also cheaper. It's also like $30.
Yeah, it is. But here, so what I have more to bring on that. The Switch, the first party one, not the Hori one. I know the Hori one kind of sucks. That's disappointing, but it looks cool. The Nintendo one, it's $50. It's 1080p, like you brought up, but it also, why it looks particularly bad, I think people are like noticing it looks particularly like low grainy. It looks very grainy, and it's undeniable. It does look very grainy in all the promotional stuff. And here's why. It's wide angle. And what the Switch does with AI is zoom the crap in on that 1080p from a far distance, because most people, the way this is advertised, it's sitting on your entertainment center under your TV, and you're sitting on your couch, like, I don't know, 5 to 10 feet away or more.
Yeah.
And what it's doing is it's taking that, and it's wide angle, so it gets the whole room, so it can see everybody. So it's all the way back there in the room. 1080p is good, but not that great. It can't zoom. It's not 4K. It can't zoom in that far without losing some detail. So it's not like Drip and I, where our webcams are right in front of our freaking domes right now.
Yeah.
It's sitting way back. It's sitting way back on your TV and zooming in on your face specifically. So that was what shows up in the game, and not like your junk. So like that is why, or your chest, like a bat. If it wasn't wide angle, you'd only see your chest or something. Your head would get cut off. It has to be wide angle so it sees the room and more people, and it has to be zoomed in so it actually zooms in on your face specifically, and that's why it looks grainy. If you had a desk set up with this, and Drip will probably make a video on this in the future, but if you have a desk set up playing your Nintendo Switch with that camera, it's gonna look great. 1080p right in front of your face, it's gonna look great.
I didn't know it was wide angle like that.
It's super
wide
wide angle.
Do you know what the angle is?
No, I don't, but
you know what the
internet's telling me it's super wide angle, which makes a lot of sense because it has to be to capture the room.
That does make sense. Okay, well, yeah, once we get that in our hands, we'll be able to debunk a lot of this stuff. But there's one big elephant in the room, Geeb, that Nintendo has finally addressed, and they did not put Hall Effect sticks in the Joy-Cons. Yes. They say they did do something about, well, they didn't say they did something about the problem because they will never admit that there was a problem, but they said these Joy-Cons are redesigned from the ground up. I don't know if I believe all of that because they're very similar in every single way except a few. I'll tell you this. I don't know what they're going to do with the sticks and how they're going to make that.
You can ignore that.
I don't know what they're going to do with the sticks, and I don't know what they did with the sticks to make them better. But the Switch is still the same thickness from front to back.
Yep.
One of the main problems is the design of what's going on inside the stick, where it's pushing down instead of like using the sensors are on the sides.
They're too thin.
One of the main problems is, so I don't know what they did. They say they've redesigned it from the ground up. I can tell you this. I touch these sticks. The tops are bigger. Your thumbs can fit on them better, but they're about the same height. And they have about the same travel as regular Joy-Cons. They do not feel much different at all, except for the fact that your thumb sits on something bigger. They are very, very, very close to the same. So while I'll give them the benefit of the doubt right now, and I do believe that they don't want to have a situation where it comes to class action lawsuits again. They really don't want to do that again, I'm sure. At the same time, they can't really say anything about what they've done to fix it because then that would be admitting guilt, and they can't do that. So their wording has been, we redesigned the Joy-Cons from the ground up so they don't have to focus in on the sticks. I think they have done something better, though. I think they think they fixed it.
Answer me this, though. Do they feel good? Did they feel bad? Like, did they feel good to use?
They feel fine. They feel like Switch. I mean, they feel the same.
The Switch joysticks, the Joy-Cons joysticks, they feel good. They don't feel bad.
Yeah.
The issue has been durability has been the problem, not like they feel bad. There's a little short travel, but I mean, come on, man. It's supposed to fit in your pocket. The whole point of this thing is supposed to be portable.
Yeah.
So you can't have big old sticks popping out.
And the more and more I see all this stuff and what they're doing, this is just me. I have no information telling me this, but I do feel at this point now we are going to see bigger Joy-Cons for this thing from Nintendo with back buttons.
I could see that.
They put back buttons on the grip. They put back buttons on the Joy-Con grip.
Are we gonna do another generation where they don't give us Pro Joy-Cons? How can they not see the money to be made with Pro Joy-Cons? I don't understand.
Well, and that kind of leads me to what I want to talk about too. Not Hall effect sticks, but I touched the Pro controller. Let me tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's going on with those sticks. I don't know what that is. I don't know what technology they're using or if it's just some simple little trick. Those are the most comfortable, best feeling sticks I've ever used in my entire life, and it's not even close.
And they're not Hall effect.
Like and they're not, yeah. And as soon as I touched them, I was like, whoa, like what is happening here? What is this? What is this sorcery? It's crazy. So I would love to see a pair of big Joy-Cons with those sticks on them.
Absolutely.
We'll see.
And this
I think
actually
they're going to do it this time.
This actually relates to what we were just talking about with the Hall effect sticks and the Joy-Cons. Those sticks are the best feeling sticks you ever felt. Not Hall effect. The Joy-Con sticks felt good. Not Hall effect. They felt like the same, but not Hall effect.
Yeah.
And I think the branding and the marketing of Hall effect sticks, but all the companies, they're all guilty of it. It's marketing garbage that people have taken into their brains and taken as fact. People now think, because of marketing, that if you have a Hall effect stick in your system, your controller, that means it's number one, it's better, and number two, perfectly durable, and three, will never drift. All three of these things are untrue entirely.
Not all Hall effect sticks are created equally.
I have two examples of controllers I bought, or I have that do not have, that have Hall effect sticks, and either two things. Number one, the Joy-Con goalie kit sticks, the famous goalie kit sticks of the Joy-Con. Those are Hall effect. Those were the worst feeling sticks I've ever felt. And it's not just us. Drip felt the same way. I felt the same way.
Yeah.
Nintendo Life did a video. Other people on the internet they all made their content about how those sticks just didn't feel good. And they don't. They might be Hall effect, but they feel like garbage.
Now, on the other hand, I put a pair of a different company's sticks in my Switch Lite that I changed the screen out for the OLED. Those sticks are Hall effect.
And they feel great.
They feel great.
Yeah.
They feel just like the originals. You can't almost even tell they were changed.
It's almost like the quality is what matters and not the technology.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Not all Hall effect sticks are created equally. And just because you have Hall effect sticks doesn't mean you can't have any problems. You can still have problems.
And I did with my Nixie Wizard. I bought a Nixie Wizard.
You had a ton of problems with that.
I was one of the early adopters of that controller. I bought it. I had it day one. I was so excited for that thing. Split GameCube Joy-Cons on my Nintendo Switch. That was amazing. As much as I made my video about it. I loved it. I didn't crap on it enough in the video because I loved it so much. Not because they paid me. I bought the thing with my own money, but I loved it so much. But I made the video like 3 weeks after I had the thing, so I didn't have enough time with it. The more time went on with that controller, the more issues I had with the Hall effect sticks. They drifted. They were glitchy.
You had to recalibrate them like every time you used them.
Every time I used them, I had to go in and recalibrate them. It would work, and then I'd play a few more, like another hour, not even like a half hour, and
they start drift out.
They start glitching again. It wasn't drift per se because it wasn't like it was.
It was just like
Because drift is when the contacts rub together too much and they lose connection and they start doing weird things.
Well, the thing is they add connection. There's too much connection.
What the Hall effects were doing was like bouncing around. So when I went to the Switch software to see what was happening in the calibration software, you could see the thing just like bouncing left, center, up, down, center, right. It was just bouncing all over the place, and that was causing drift in my games. Twitchy, glitchy sticks. Brand new, out of the box. Now I could have had bad sticks, probably, but that goes to show you, boys and girls out there, is that Hall effect sticks can have problems, even brand new ones. And a company like Nixie, I bought them. They're in China. That would have been. Can you imagine me? And I bought them off their website. Can you imagine me trying to return those? I looked into it. It was too much. Maybe I would have seen new ones in like 4 months, and hopefully they'd be better. Hopefully it would have been better. I ended up just selling them.
That's another part of this too. Like you said, it's been just bashed into people's head that Hall effect is the only way you can have good sticks. That's not true. It's just not true. There are other sticks that are good that aren't Hall effect. Like, yeah, you can still get drift because they use a different type of technology to read the inputs, but you're a lot less likely with a lot of these because they have the technology behind them that works. I mean, the Switch Joy-Cons, the originals, it was just a flawed design. If they have redesigned it and it's better, clearly they knew what the problem was, and they've had a ton of time to look at this, address it. We're not going to know till we get these things in our hands, and maybe by the time it's late 2025, 2026, we're going to start seeing what the issue is with that. And I don't know. I think everybody needs to calm down. They don't have to be Hall effect. They could be good. I don't think Nintendo's going to put themselves in a situation where they have to deal with a class action lawsuit again. So I would be optimistic about what they are, and not so pessimistic because they're not Hall effect.
Yeah. That's gonna wrap up this clip. That again, we just talked for a while, but that's okay. I don't mind it. It's almost Kit and Crystal style. They do like clips that are like 30, 40 minutes long, an hour.
It's hard. Yeah, we're
hard podcasters, man.
Do that.
We do
it's
podcasts.
Hard to not do that.
Yeah, I think this is a great content though. So hopefully you guys agreed with that and liked and subscribed because you thought it was great content. We're going to do our live podcast tomorrow night as a recording, but if you're watching this, make sure to go check our latest live stream. We probably did a podcast this week. If you're watching, whenever in time you're watching this, we probably did a podcast this week. So go check it out. Drip, great one. We'll see you guys tomorrow night live.
Later.
Nintendo, every single show.